Hey guys, it's me, LD, and today I'm coming to you with a pro Dota 1 commentary. This match was for the GEST International Dota Cup, and it's a Southeast Asian match between Mineski, who I'm sure is familiar to many of you out there, especially anyone who's been watching Dota 2. They did participate in the Premier League, although they didn't do particularly well there, and I believe they've mostly been focusing on Dota 1. And they're playing against Velocy, and this team is from Indonesia. And the reason that I chose this replay, actually, is first of all, it was pretty highly rated on Gosu Gamers, but more importantly, and as you're probably noticing right now, these five heroes all have something in common for Velocy, and I'm not sure if that stands for velocity or not, but either way, these five heroes have two things in common. First of all, they're all melee heroes, which is really unusual to see in a professional game. You almost never see this. The reason is that melee heroes are generally easier to harass and don't have as much lane control. And the other interesting feature is that they're all extremely tanky. There's four strength heroes. Well, with the exception of Sankane, they're all quite tanky. And even the Ogre Magi, although he's an intelligence hero, has an extremely high starting armor, base health, and then strength gain. So because this lineup was so interesting, I was moved to cast it. And this game got a great rating on Gosu Gamers. I believe it was like 9.8. So with that being said, I'm just going to introduce the players real quick as we unpause here. This was an AP remake of a CM game, so I'm actually not sure how the draft developed this way. But I am very interested to see how it turns out. So for Velocity, or Velocy, however you say that, we're going to see CJ7 on the Sankane, Y2K on the Tiny, NFR handling that Dragon Knight, CK on the Ogre Magi, and SCL on the Kunkka. Kunkka, interesting hero. You really don't see him too much nowadays. He's a decent counter to the Broodmother and the Furion, just in terms of stopping the push. The Cleave does a great job of destroying off summons, so I'm wondering if that's what they had in mind. For Mineski, we have RR handling the Lion, OWA, going to be on that Broodmother, WTZ on the Furion, Jay going to be in his typical role as the solo mid on the Beastmaster, and Jules going to be in his typical role on more of the semi-carry and solo in the side lane on the Windrunner. So the heroes for Mineski, obviously a lot more conventional. It looks like our Scourge heroes are just going to go ahead and place down the Magic Bush Ward. For anyone who doesn't know, this is called the Magic Bush Ward because it's the only ward on the Dota 1 map that actually blocks two camps. It blocks this creep camp and it blocks this one. So this ward does exist in Dota 2 as well. So if you haven't used it before, definitely keep it in mind. I may do a warding guide at some point, in which case I'll be sure to go over exactly where that goes. But for the meantime, it's in the equivalent spot in Dota 2. So pretty good ward to have. And they placed this ward because the enemy team is a Furion. And so this is going to prevent stacking and pulling to this lane. It's also going to prevent the Broodmother from farming. And it's also going to shut down the Furion's farm quite a bit. He still have a few jungle camps to farm in. There's still a camp here, and there's a camp here. But it definitely limits where he can go. So with that being said, I'm a little curious about these picks. The Sankane and the Kunkka, I think, are pretty smart pickups. Because they counter the Furion Treants and the Broodmother Spiderlings quite well. While this team is an all-melee lineup, they have a lot of AoE. Tiny's got a good amount of AoE between the Avalanche Toss. Dragon Knight obviously has his Fire Breath, and later on he has his Splash damage. And Kunkka, of course, has a lot of Cleave. So I think in that respect, they're actually going to do pretty well at stopping these pushes, assuming they don't lose in the laning phase. And that's really where you would expect to see this Velocity or Velocy lineup. I'm just going to call them Velocy. If that's wrong, I apologize. Feel free to correct me in the comments, but just for simplicity's sake. So I would expect to see this mid lane be pretty even. Tiny and Beastmaster, fairly even matchup. They both have comparable base damage, similar sort of ability to harass and push the lane. Top lane, we see a Dragon Knight laning versus Windrunner. Expect Windrunner to have the advantage, one of the best lane controllers in the game. But as Dragon Knight levels up, he'll get some more points into that Flame Breath, as well as his armor skill, which should allow him to stay in lane a little bit better. Dragon's Blood, why do I always forget the name of that? So, this bottom lane, we are going to be seeing a Broodmother and a Lion, and for anyone who hasn't been watching too much Dota 1, or just hasn't really watched Broodmother play much recently, this might seem like a strange pick, and you're probably thinking, well, isn't Broodmother better as a solo hero, and isn't that normally where we would expect to see her? And yes, Broodmother is a very strong solo, but she doesn't have to solo. And in this case, Lion is going to be just babysitting her a little bit, helping to counter this enemy tri-lane. The other cool thing about having the Broodmother is that Lion can actually jungle with the Spiderlings pretty early on. And Lion is a very experience-intensive hero, very level-dependent hero, and he needs a decent bit of farm to be effective. You really want to get up those early boots to allow you to initiate, as he has, I believe, 290 base move speed, so he's a little bit slow. And you also just want some levels on him. Both of his disables, you really want to level them up and make sure that he can chain stun enemies for as long as possible. It looks like the Scourge are going for a little gank here. They did see Lion run into this camp with the Spiderlings because of the ward. Sandkane's going to initiate with a Burrow Strike. I believe this is going to be the first blood. Kunkka going to follow up with a really nice Torrent. The chain stun is good here, and that's going to be the first blood. So well played by Velocy. Normally tri-lanes haven't been too popular recently. And I'm not, I'm sure there's a bunch of reasons why they phased out of the metagame. One of the issues with a tri-lane is that it really puts a lot of pressure on your two solo lanes. Especially if the tri-lane supports are just sort of, if they can't leave the lane, then it puts even more pressure on your two solos, because they're not going to have anyone who can back them up. It also leaves your other lanes very vulnerable to pushes. The reason for that is that if you don't have any supports to come and help defend the towers or gank enemy heroes who are pushing aggressively, and you're playing like versus Chen or other junglers, the tri-lane's not going to be too effective. But so far, obviously, it's working out pretty nicely for Velocy. Just taking a look at the farm here, Kunkka's at 7-3, Broodmother only at 6-0. That's quite low for a Broodmother, so the tri-lane is doing a decent job of keeping him down, at least in terms of the farm. It wouldn't be a Southeast Asian game if there's not some Bottle Crow. And so Jules, as expected, is going to be Bottle Crow, and looks like DK is going to be doing some as well, but might just be holding on to the bottle. The bottle is not a great purchase, in my opinion, in the side lane, unless you're going to be Bottle Crowing. Just because it's a lot of money for only limited regen. You only get 3 bottle charges, which is really not that much regen when you compare it to some, Tangos or Salve or Clarity Potion. So at some point I would expect to see him ferrying his bottle, but for now, looks like Tiny might be doing that. No, Tiny just gonna pick up his boots. So so just to talk a little bit more about the 5 melee lineup, because that's obviously the most interesting aspect of this game right now. Even though they are 5 melee heroes, I actually think they have a decent ability to sort of win fights in the mid-game. One of the problems with all melee lineups, or having too many melee heroes, is that they tend to clump up, they tend to run into each other, and they often can't can't auto-attack consistently. But what this lineup has going for them is just a lot of range and a lot of chain stun. Dragonite actually will be a ranged hero in the most important engagements once he gets level 6. I'll be able to use that Dragon Form. Furion going to be coming in for a gank here, so I'll hold that thought for a second. Looks like Furion actually going to end up going down. Just need one more auto attack to do it. He might get away. This chase is going on for a while, and Sandkane accidentally targeting the Broodmother. One-man is going to end up going down, so nice play there. Furion really, that gank backfiring big time, but Sandkane overextending quite a bit. Going to miss the Burrow Strike right as the trees respawn, and that's going to be the death of him. So, all in all, I have to say, really not an effective gank. Furion, at this point in the game, if he doesn't end up getting a kill, he really hurts himself as the mid-game approaches, because he's not going to get that experience. Obviously, with dying, he's not going to have as much gold per minute. And he started off with a Null Talisman, so, normally you'd see a Furion go for something like an Urn or Mecha pretty early on. Occasionally Hand of Midas, although I don't think that's as common in the pro scene. It's more of a pub-style build. Looks like this Furion might be rushing a Dagon, which will certainly give them some burst damage and ganking power. As we do see Sandkane is headed to the top lane, along with Tiny. They really want to get something going on this Windrunner, but Jules is sitting very far back, so showing some really good map awareness there. Even though he doesn't have any wards at the moment, he actually does have the Hawk. I'm not sure if the Hawk's spotted in these players, though. But this is obviously going to allow the Dragonite to farm a little bit more aggressively. It looks like he actually has the Tiny's bottle. This is 6.73C. We're going to see Windrunner just completely melt there. So the reason I mentioned 6.73C is that Dragonite now has a ranged stun, which, in my opinion, turns him from a pretty strong competitive, sort of carry/competitive hero into really borderline overpowered. He's just so hard to kill. He pushes really well because of his ultimate, doing damage over time to towers, as well as Flame Breath to clear out creep waves. And on top of that, he's just a massive tank with a very spammable stun. So, the Dragonite in this version is especially powerful, and that did help them set up the gank there. Looks like Sand King might be in a bit of a pickle here, or there aren't any Sentry Wards or Dust, at least for the moment he will be fine. It doesn't... Sentry Ward's on the Courier. Sand King... He's only level 4, so he will eventually come out of this cloud. It's pretty much a waiting game now for Sand King. I'm not sure he'll be able to make it out of here alive. One power shot, one set of axes. He's going to have to make a move now, or I guess he's just going to accept his fate. Just kind of trolling the Windrunner, making her waste as much time as possible. Power shot could have cleaned him up there. So, well played by the Windrunner and the Beastmaster. But, you know, the Sand King, this is something to keep in mind in a pub game. If you're ever playing Sand King, before you come out of your Sandstorm, or, you know, whenever you have a chance, just try and see if the enemies have Sentry Wards or Dust. Even if you're going to die in a situation like that, if you can either force them to sit around for a while trying to kill you, or actually force them to buy Sentry Wards or Dust, you've done your job. Obviously, if you're up against AoE stun, something like an Earthshaker, I was going to say a Sand King, but you probably won't be up against an enemy Sand King. You know, or maybe a Tidehunter with his ultimate, something like that. Then obviously you can't really simple Sandstorm. But aside from that, you know, making the most of a bad situation, so nicely done by him. Just, at this point in the game, we're about 8 minutes in. There's been a decent amount of action, not quite as much as I would expect. Although we do see Tiny going in very aggressively, and this is a pretty good bait by the Lion. No Finger of Death yet. His Lion's only level 6. Tiny gonna die, but if he gets the Broodmother, it's probably not a horrible trade. Unfortunately, Broodmother looks to be getting away here. They're gonna go on the Lion instead, which is definitely the easier target. Some nice juking by the Lion. Is this Lion actually going to get away? He's got the ultimate, but I don't think he has the mana for it. He might be able to turn this around. He pops the Magic Wand, he misses the Impale. Kunkka continuing to dive. The Lion's so low, but this is just a huge waste of time. He's juking in the trees. Will this Lion go down? In the meantime, I missed a double kill. It looks like the Broodmother picked up another point. Lion's still juking! Lion not dead yet. I don't think this Lion is going to die at all. Beastmaster comes in to clean up. RR just basically calling Barry Sanders because he just broke a bunch of ankles on that juke. Little shit talk coming out from Jay in all chat. So this game is delivering so far. And that is definitely one of the potential issues with so many melee heroes. If they had just one ranged hero there, he probably could have just killed Lion with a couple of auto attacks. But because they dump all melee, even though they have some decent range stuns, he's able to juke, doing, you know, pulling off some big plays and able to escape. So great play by the Lion. And definitely a disappointment from the Velocy side. So anyway, typical Southeast Asian game. You can't stop for 2 seconds without seeing some huge action. But I'm going to take a risk here and actually check the farm real quick. We do see Beastmaster at 49, Windrunner at 48, Broodmother at 39, so none of these farms are really exceptional. I would say the Beastmaster and the Windrunner are pretty strong. The Broodmother very weak, but it's to be expected up against the Tri-Lane. Broodmother barely going to live here. You just can't check farm watching these Southeast Asian games, I'll tell you. And on the Scourge side, really the farm is awful. I mean, Dragon Knight, they are getting the levels, especially on the Dragon Knight, so that's decent. But the tiny solo mid is 26 creeps. And, you know, I think the main reason isn't that he got outplayed in the lane, although that might be part of it. He spent a lot of time ganking. We saw him trying to gank top with Sand King. We saw him chasing and getting juked bottom forever and dying to the Broodmother. Actually, I don't think it was him getting juked, but we saw him trying to gank bottom. So he's been spending a lot of time ganking. Hasn't been getting the kills, and as a result, his farm is lower. And Tiny really needs a decent amount of farm to be effective. You know, he's not carry, although if you watch Dota 2, you might have seen Sing Sing try to build him as one with Phase Boots, Master Bandits, and Aghanims. But for the most part, he's not really a carry. He's more of a burst ganker, initiator type. But even for one of those, he needs a good amount of farm. He needs a Blink Dagger in most cases, or at least a Force Staff, to be able to set up his combo. He needs some form of mana regen beyond just the bottle. It's really not sufficient. Broodmother going to be running into the Sentry Ward. Are we going to see a Sand King? No, he's not level 6. Still not level 6. Is Broodmother going to go down here? Broodmother going to juke away and might actually live if there's no more Sentry Wards. Sentry Ward is dropped by Kunkka. They are going to clean up the Broodmother. But even though they got the kill there, you know, they wasted a lot of time. Tiny came bottom again. Meanwhile, he loses his tower mid to the Beastmaster. One of the issues, you know, something to keep in mind when you're playing mid is you'll often see your team, especially if they start losing a side lane in a pub game, demanding that you come gank, but it's not always a good idea to do so. Obviously, I'm sure that wasn't going on in this game, as it is a competitive game and they are on the same team. But, you know, it's always a risk to leave your lane, especially against a hero like Beastmaster or you know, on the opposite side, the Tiny, who can push really hard. So, you know, Tiny took the risk, went bottom. He wasn't even needed. Missed out on a bunch of farm, and he lost the tower. So, we are seeing some bottle curl going on from the Dragon Knight, I believe. Where is that bottle? Okay, Courier coming to deliver boots. I think he already had those, so... Courier possibly just trolling. Is there... of course, you know, it's a Southeast Asian game, so there's going to be more than one Courier. I'm not sure if the... Yep, we actually see multiple ones on the Scourge. Sorry I missed that kill. Looks like the Lion picked up a kill on the Sand Kings. Sand King did not finally hit level 6. Meanwhile, Action Top, pretty big dive on the Dragon Knight. We're not going to see any TPs, though, and he will go down. Smoke is going to go off on the Ogre Magi and the Tiny. They might be able to pick up some kills. So Furion start off with the Null Talisman. Looks like he's been bottle crowing too. Why he's doing this is beyond me. Maybe sharing... Well, actually, he's just sharing Jules' bottle. Burrow Strike comes in. Furion in a lot of trouble here. Furion going to go down. Will they be able to pick off the Windrunner? I don't think so. Windrunner is so hard to keep up with, and they don't have any you know, really long-range disables, except for that Kunkka. Until Sand King gets a Blink Dagger, until Tiny gets a Blink Dagger, it's pretty easy to escape. Meanwhile, looks like Furion bought back and is going to go right in on this Kunkka. Kunkka, why not? Well, Kunkka with no Quelling Blade. Actually, I don't know if it's still the case in Dota 1 that you can't buy Quelling Blade on Kunkka. It's not really a great purchase on him anyway in general, but versus Furion, I think it's definitely worth it. But if you're not going to buy a Quelling Blade, then you should certainly be carrying Tangos, especially this early in the game. He is able to get away though, so that's not too big of a deal. So, 13 minutes into the game, we see the Sentinel really taking advantage of their lineup. Obviously, because they have the Broodmother and the Furion, they've got a lot more pushing power. And the Scourge are just sort of scrambling around trying to defend these towers. Beastmaster's going to be doing some nice scouting with the Hawk, I believe. Actually, Hawk not even here. Big Kunkka ultimate comes in, hitting 2 heroes from the looks of it. Or actually, did that hit anyone? Might have been getting the teams mixed up there. I'm not sure. Lion in a lot of trouble. Lion's going to be the target of choice. This guy is not going to juke this time. Scourge says, get out of here, man. You can't juke if we break your ankles first. They're going to go ahead and do that. Broodmother running in for a feed. I have no idea what he was thinking. He actually fades just in time. That was very interesting. Ran out of the web and then was visible and then somehow faded again. So, not really sure what happened there, to be honest, but he's going to escape. Sand King going to be trying to go in on the Beastmaster, but the Beastmaster looking pretty tanky. Here's the Staff of Wizardry. I would expect to see him go for a Necronomicon, and that's going to be a great choice against the Scourge because Necronomicon counters AoE lineups very well. It's also good against heroes with low mana pools. For example, the Dragon Knight. Really all of these heroes except for the Ogre Magi. And even he has a pretty low mana pool here. As we do see Windrunner going down, Jewel's really overextending, it has no ward coverage, and it's going to pay for it with her life. It's Tiny, meanwhile, action bottom, as we do see Kunkka picking up another kill. Velocy going to request a save, so obviously want to make sure that kill gets recorded. So the score, 15 minutes of the game, is 9-9. In terms of the levels, Sentinel definitely has the advantage. Huge dive here, fighting in the shadow of the Tier 3 tower, pretty much. I don't think this is necessarily a great decision. Sand King going to be popping up his ultimate, will clean up the Furion. We will most likely see Beastmaster going down here. Beastmaster should go down. I can't imagine he'll juke this one. Torrent misses. Beastmaster might get away. Sand King frantically trying to catch up. Sand King, not sure what Sand King is doing there. But Sand King gonna go down. This chase continues. I have a bad feeling about this for Velocy. Just because whenever you see a chase go on this long, it always seems to end badly. Shackle Shot gonna miss though. Sand King gonna get a 2-man Burrow Strike. Sand King gonna go down. And it looks like the chase will continue the other way. Broodmother's here now. And everyone has to run. Tiny gonna die. Yeah, Tiny gonna go down. Ogre Magi probably gonna drop. These chases are just too long. Meanwhile, mid is getting pressured by the creeps. Velocy kind of hilariously overextending here. They're really paying for it. And so Kunkka gonna drop there as well. Meanwhile, Dragon Knight doing what he does best, which is right-clicking on towers in dragon form and doing that Imba 120 extra damage per attack. I believe it's 120. I'll check. I'm not positive. He does a bunch of bonus damage to towers every time he attacks them. That's one downside to having begun your casting career, so to speak, in Dota 2, is that you can develop sort of the crutch habit of, or the bad habit of using the better interface is a crutch. So unfortunately I don't remember offhand, but I believe it's about 100 or 120 damage with that poison damage per attack. So all that being said, just sort of taking a look at the map right now, it does not look good for our heroes on the Scourge at this point. They've lost all of their outer towers only 60 minutes into the game, except for this one. So I'm really not sure how they're going to claw their way back into this. I'm assuming this game was high rated because of more than just that one juke sequence. Dragon Knight trying to run here. This Dragon Knight's farm is pretty horrendous, to be honest. Does he have a bunch of money saved up? 2,000 gold, I wonder what he's going to be going for. Super long range sniper axe is coming out from Jay. Not going to be enough to pick off the Dragon Knight. And Jay, is Jay going to back? Is Jay going to run in and feed here, taking a page out of the Velocy playbook? It's hard to say. Meanwhile, Broodmother kind of just being, getting back into a back and forth right-click battle with Contra. Gonna be okay for now, though. I mean, if we just compare the farm on the two teams, if there was a gold graph, I'm guessing it would be like 5,000 to 10,000 difference at least. I mean, not only from the towers, but also the farm is a lot better overall. Oh my god, this Lion had better not live again. Lion is going to go down. Nice blind stun. I don't even think they had any form of detection. A nice blind avalanche there. Going to be able to pick him up. Windrunner's coming in. Going to be doing a huge dive with the Beastmaster. No, maybe just going to back off and defend lane. Prophet buyback again. Prophet, where are you at, bro? Yeah, Prophet buys back again. Now, I'm fine with buying back if it's for an important cause. I mean, he did have the Midas on cooldown, or available, so it wasn't on cooldown. So that's a decent reason to buy back, I suppose. As whenever you buy a Hand of Midas, you really want to be using it every time it's cooled down to make it pay for itself as quickly as possible. This Necronomicon's so good on the Beastmaster. All the minions benefit from his passive aura. Bunch of burst damage will be coming out. He's got a haste rune, but is he going to get chain stun? He is going to get chain stun. Actually dies floating in the air. But the minion's going to pick up another kill and continue the chase. Oh, I never actually finished my point earlier about the Necronomicon and why it's so good against AoE lineups, so my apologies for that. The basic idea is that when you have a bunch of AoE, someone's guaranteed to bring down the minions, and then they do a crap ton of pure damage to your heroes. So that's a really good reason to pick it up. And of course, they just give you a lot of benefits in general. It's pretty much like having two heroes when they're online. Just because of all the bonus damage they do, that they benefit a lot from Beastmaster's aura, and they're good at mana burning and just generally rendering useless most of these dire heroes. And we only see one set of mana boots on the Tiny, who has finally picked up his blink dagger as we saw in that fight. So look for him to hopefully be able to initiate. This is one of the downsides to the dire lineup. They all require blink daggers to initiate, or at least their two most important initiators do. Sankian actually has the money for his now. I'd expect to see him pick that up very shortly. But they had, and actually 20 minutes into the game, pretty good time to have it run both heroes. So I'm surprisingly impressed at how quickly they farmed up these blinks. Actually, there's a little bit of lag for RWA, hopefully not too big of a deal. Dragon Knight went for the Vanguard. It's a very late time to get a Vanguard. Huge bait by the Dragon Knight, but god damn, this Beastmaster is tanky as all hell. And so is the Dragon Knight. Dragon Knight being such a pain in the butt to kill. Did Sandking blow his ultimate? I don't believe he did, but he should be going down. Kunkabo comes in. Everyone extremely low. We are going to see Beastmaster come back in for the kill with the haste rune. Really nice play by him. It looks like he might want to go for more. I'm not really sure what he can do at this point. I believe he already used the roar. Really being aggressive here. Meanwhile, we see Broodmother farming inside of the enemy base. Really, this is the way to play Broodmother. Whenever the enemy team is distracted, just go push the other lanes. Similar to Furion, but she's a lot harder to kill. And the combination of those two here is such a pain in the ass. Broodmother pushing to bottom while Furion pushes top. It's so difficult to farm. Is Furion really going to be building a Dagon at 21 minutes into the game? I think this is an awful item decision, just because the Scourge are so naturally tank, with really strong strength gain. And they just don't, I don't think burst damage is the solution. I think they need something a little more sustained or more disables. Maybe another Necronomicon. If that's what he's going for, that'd be a pretty good choice. Whew, I'm going to take a deep breath here as the Torah misses on Furion. So now that we have a little bit of time, Sankian has picked up the Blink Dagger. Let's check our item progression. Broodmother are going to be going for the BKB. Double Force Staff up on the Lion and the Windrunner. So Lion opting not to try and farm a Blink Dagger. I think that's a decent choice in this game. You have Furion, who's got that global ability to initiate, or at least, at least disable someone for a few seconds. You've got Beastmaster with the long-range roar, and you've got Windrunner with her 4-staff shackle shot. We do actually see Mineski taking advantage of their map control to go ahead and Roshan. I feel like they could have done that earlier. One of the best ways to ensure yourself a free Roshan kill is just to keep all the lanes constantly pushed. If all the lanes are pushed, the enemy team can't really do anything without letting their towers take damage. Tiny's going to blink in here. 2-hero shackle shot. This is definitely the initiation they want. Lion looking for a multiple hero impale. Not going to get it. Just going to settle for the kill, but he's going to pay for it with his life. One 4-staff comes out. Do we see the other one? Mechanism coming out. Not going to be enough. Sand came with a great going to be channeling that epicenter after a 2-man impale coming out of a blink. Focusing the Beastmaster, though. I don't believe that's the correct choice. They really should be focusing the Windrunner. Beastmaster incredibly tanky. Meanwhile, Broodmother is just going to work on this tower. This chase is working out for Velocy, but they need to defend their base. They are going to have to back off. It's so annoying to play against a Broodmother, and if you're honest, we see him immediately coming back to this top lane to push. Even if you win the fight, unless you kill both of them, they're going to make you back immediately. So, normally when you win a fight, you can get at least one tower out of it. In this game, they're just not able to get anything done. As we also see Jay going down mid. Not sure what happened there. I'm guessing, just overextending a little bit. Expecting the enemy team to back, and they were not. So, nice play by Velocy. In terms of the item builds, we see double Vanguard up, and normally I wouldn't be that big of a fan of seeing one this late on Dragon Knight. Just because, it's more of a really early laning item, and I think he'd be better off maybe going for a pipe against so much nuke damage. Between the Prophet ultimate, the possible Dagon he's building, the Beastmaster X is doing mixed damage, as well as the Roar doing magical. Lion, between all these heroes, they have a lot of magical damage, is basically what we're trying to say here. But the Vanguards are really good to allow you to tank the Spiderlings and the Treant, so from that respect, it's a pretty good pickup. I wonder if Windrunner's going to be going for Necronomicon too. I'm trying to think, what else could this be? Maybe a Yule Scepter. Windrunner just way out of position. She is just not in a good place at the moment. I'm trying to think of an analogy, but the only one that comes to mind is extremely inappropriate, so I'm not going to use that. But use your imagination. She should not have been there. Beastmaster are going to be going for the Aghanims. Interesting choice. I wouldn't have minded seeing him pick up a Blink Dagger, but they do already have double 4-staff, so Aghanim's not a bad choice. The one nice thing about the Aghanims is it will prevent the Dragon Knight from doing anything in teamfights, even if he picks up a BKB. As we see a single... No, we do see a 2-hero smoked up. Beastmaster almost surely going to forfeit his life here momentarily. Maybe Kunkka will go for a pipe. I really think they should get one. Tiny going to do a nice Avalanche Toss combo, and this Beastmaster is dead. So Mineski doing their typical routine of just, acquiring a nice lead and then trying their best to throw it away. Really overextending, being out of position. God, these Necronomicon names do so much damage. And nobody has a way to deal with this Furion Sprout. If you're not going to buy Quelling Blades or carry Tangos, I really think you should have a 4-staff on your team. Nice Epicenter coming out. This might be a turnaround. Windrunner's going to drop. The BKB is popped. But look how tanky this Dragon Knight is. Even with the Broodmother ultimate, he's just going to live with like 50 health there. Kunkka going to be trying to kill off the Furion here, who did go for... Alright, I don't know why he didn't start buying the Necronomicon sooner, but he's got a completed level 3 Necronomicon. And massing these things, normally, it's not the best use of your money, but against all this AoE, it might just win them the game. Oh, great Torrent, as well as a Burrow Strike, just to secure the kill. So, what was, I believe, a game that Mineski was leading at one point, like 17-3, or... No, that's not right. But they were leading by a lot of kills early on, and they were up like 6 towers. Somehow they're down 23-17 against a 5 melee lineup. And everyone on this 5 melee lineup really requires a lot of farm, except for the Ogre Magi. That's pretty, honestly, pretty poor play from them through the mid-game. But this is Mineski. They sort of like to make the games interesting. They'll throw a few fights just to let their opponents back into the game, and then they'll go ahead and have an amazingly well-orchestrated fight. I'm actually a little surprised, and also this is just something that occurred to me. Whenever you have a Beastmaster on your team, getting Boots of Travel is always a decent option because you can teleport onto his Hawk which can allow you to backdoor pretty effectively. And when you already have a Furion and a Broodmother, it's not a bad idea. So I want to say I'm almost disappointed he didn't opt to go for some. Roar are going to go out here on the Tiny. This is just a really aggressive place to be ganking. They're going to get this, I think they're going to get this Tiny. Yeah, Tiny going to go down, even with the pipe, which has been completed for the Scourge. But they're going to pay for it. Beastmaster should be going down here. Beastmaster should be going down, or maybe not. The pressure continues in the bottom lane. God, Furion and Broodmother are just so annoying to play against. Chain stun coming out for the, on the Beastmaster. He's going to drop. But now they have to back. You know, normally in this situation, you could go and get a tower. But in this case, they can't do anything. So it just feels hopeless right now. Although, if Mineski continues to feed, eventually they will lose this game. So at some point, they're going to have to put it together. Oh, sorry about that. I accidentally just closed my Warcraft window. I wanted to see who bought back. Someone just bought back. On the Scourge side, so kind of interesting there. Alright, we have a few seconds. Most of Mineski is dead, so they can't feed. So let's check, let's do a little farm check, see how each hero is performing. Furion 2 and 7, really just feeding it up this game. And honestly, I have not been too impressed by this Furion's play. I don't like the Midas pickup, just because he went for a completed Null Talisman first, and then he spent a lot of time ganking. If you're going to gank, I think it's better to go for something like an Urn, you know, or more just supportive items. Maybe pick up a mechanism for your team. I like the Necrobulk 3 pickup quite a bit, and I like the idea of massing them. I'm very interested to see if Windrunner goes for him. But not too impressed with his play overall. His farm is also, you know, decent, but really not exceptional. The only other real interesting items of note is that it looks like Broodmother's going for a Butterfly. So we see someone going down. Jay gonna die, but you know, it's time to back. Dragonite's here, he can't defend this alone, especially with those mana burn creeps stealing all of his mana, just generally being a nuisance. Broodmother gonna be doing so much damage to this tower. Tanking it up, even under the enemy tower, being targeted by it as well as the Dragonite splash damage. Meanwhile, there's a bit of action going on mid. Kunkka gonna be going down. He's possibly going down here. Kunkka being just so beefy. But we'll have to see. Broodmother probably gonna lose the Aegis here. Some really nice hero blocking. Toss comes out. Tossing while she's still BKB. That was unfortunate. Burrow Strike comes out. Now they have to kill her again. They should be able to do it with the Dragon Tail. He's got the Soul Ring. A lot of spells being used here, but they are going to bring down the Broodmother, which is a big play. Meanwhile, Windrunner pressuring mid, so, you know, they continue to get these kills. They continue to, you know, I would say really outplay Mineski, but Mineski is just abusing their advantage, being able to push all the lanes constantly, and so Velocy really can't capitalize. Item progression, item progression. I want to check the item progression. I got through like 2 heroes, and I had to stop. Oh, Mineski, just stop feeding for like 5 seconds, I beg of you. I'm gonna take a chance here. Dragonite has a lot of money saved up. I don't know what he's going for. I almost feel like he's trying to build a Radiance, although maybe saving for buyback. It's just too late to build a Radiance, in my opinion. It's a great anti-push item, but I think at this point in the game, you really just need to buff up your auto attacks and maybe go for something like a Treads and an Armlet. BKB is okay, but versus a Beastmaster, I'm not sure that's the right choice here either. Let's see. Oh, bunch of action mid. No time to check the rest of the heroes. Windrunner going to be doing her best to feed, but some really nice chain stunning and just general teamwork here might actually turn this one around. Finger of Death going to finish off the Tiny. Tiny going to drop. The action mid continues. Dragonite manning up like a boss. Beastmaster going to go down here. Meanwhile, Broodmother happily farming in the bottom lane in her own little world. Will these Mineski heroes be able to escape? Dragonite wants this kill so bad. Jules trying her best to pull a lion. Not going to be able to pull it off. Jules will go down. Unstoppable coming out for the Dragonite. And it looks like he purchased a completed Mjolnir, so I gotta remember to check the courier. Another crutch I've gotten used to in Dota 2. But yeah, so he's got the Mjolnir, and that's actually a fantastic choice against this enemy lineup. Because it will allow you to clear the waves very quickly. And what the Scourge really needs right now is some damage, but mostly just push and anti-push. Mjolnir gives you both. It's also a pain in the butt when it's on Dragonite because he's such a tank. I also have to criticize the Sentinel here for not building either a Medallion or possibly a Desolator. They have no minus armor, and they're playing against the Dragon. Minus armor is just essential versus that here. Otherwise, he's so tanked. It's just a real pain to bring down. If he ever gets a BKB, he's going to be pretty much impossible to kill. He's already pretty damn hard, especially that pipe activated from the Kunkka. So, will Kunkka start going for damage items? Looks like he's been in more of a support role. Generally, Kunkka is more of like an initiator, semi-carry. At least when I've seen him played in the past, although it's been so long since I've seen him played in Dota anyway, that, you know, not really sure what the standard build is. I think his build has been really strong this game. I mean, Urn's always good if your team doesn't have one, and you're in a tri-lane, you're probably going to get some kills. His team needed a pipe, so he got one. Vanguard helps him to push. Lion feeding again, typical Mineski. Really nothing to see here. I can't believe the way this game is going. I really thought Mineski had a stranglehold on it, but they just seem lost. They're just kind of wandering around aimlessly. Haven't really had a chance to look at the ward placement yet too much this game. But generally they just seem to be overextending with a bunch of enemy heroes missing. And you're up against two Blink Daggers, so even if you think you're safe, you're not necessarily. Prophet, having completed the Necrobolt, gonna be going for what looks like an Aghanims here. And that's, I mean, at this point they're sort of committed to this whole pushing and hoping to kill the enemy teams by, you know, having them nuke themselves to death on all the Necronomicons. So, you know, if you're going that route, maybe go for the Aghanims and the Refresher, not the worst choice in the world. Jeez, this game. Sorry if there's things I'm missing, guys. I'm not used to casting games that are quite this action-packed, and definitely some things about casting Dota 1. They're a little bit more difficult, but hopefully, you know, overall the cast has been reasonably informative for y'all. So, just trying to, you know, figure out what the long-term game plan is for the Scourge here. Looks like Tiny might be going for an Assault Cuirass, maybe a Shiva's, both pretty good choices. You know, the minus armor is good for the DK's physical damage. The Shiva's good for the team fight and just creep clearing ability. At this point, the dilemma for the Scourge is how do you ever leave this? How do you ever leave your base without losing Rex? And I just don't know how they can do it, even though they keep on winning these engagements. Well, they're not going to win this one. Dragon Knight going down. If he dies, this might be Rex. We'll have to see what happens. The Mjolnir does get applied to him. A lot of nuke damage coming out. Wicked sick on the Dragon Knight. He's going to continue the chase. That range stun might get them this kill. Windrunner going to have the Force Staff up momentarily, I assume. Tiny with the... Oh no, he had the Ogre buff, actually. Oh, nice 2-hero Shackle Shot. Meanwhile, pressure is being applied to the top lane. We'll come back to that in a second. Dragon Knight extremely low. Tiny whiffs the Avalanche. I think this is time to back. In fact, it might be too late. Windrunner going to have that Shackle Shot up very soon. Beastmaster with the Aghanims. He's going to try to TP out. I don't think this is going to work. Oh, just gets out in time. Really nice play. Kunkka not able to help them, though. Had to go and defend the top lane. And I feel like because someone always has to go defend, one of the Scourge team's real strengths is just their team fight ability. They have so much AoE, so much stun. If they ever get the jump on you or just get a one-man advantage, they're going to win the fight almost certainly. Brynmother has completed the Butterfly, so she's now even more of a pain in the ass to kill. The Scourge have no response for the BKB, except just being able to survive and right-click. And they're decent at that because of the Dragon Knight and the Kunkka, but they're, you know, it's not like they have a Phantom Assassin or a really farmed Anti-Mage. Their right-click damage isn't totally out of this world, especially not the way they've built their heroes. So how does the Scourge actually push their way to victory this game? How do they get out of this mess? I mean, I feel like at this point, they just need to try something. You know, maybe go for a Smoke Gank, or maybe wait for the Aegis to expire and then do that. It just seems like they've been in reaction mode for a really long time this game. And it's not like they've been doing a bad job with it, but the goal of the game isn't to kill the enemy a bunch, it's to get their racks. And I'm just not sure how they're going to do it right now. One of the benefits of Ogre Magi, who's another interesting hero, Kunkka you don't see too often in competitive play nowadays. Ogre Magi really hasn't been that popular either. But if he ever gets to the late game, he's definitely one of the better late game supports, if not one of the best. because of his ability to buff all his teammates with that Bloodlust. It's so strong, especially if you have right-click carries, and they've got the Dragonite, they've got the Kunkka who do a decent amount of physical damage. It also allows you to chase very effectively. So I really, I like the pick now that the game's going late. I would not, obviously, I wouldn't have liked it if they lost in the laning phase. A bunch of action here. That Scourge going to finally claim their second tower. 36 minutes into the game. And Broodmother threatening on the bottom lane, but she can't enter the base. Sand King will be able to defend that reasonably well. Not sure why they're focusing these Necronomicon minions down. Taking a bunch of damage from them. They'll be able to survive, but... and with the Bloodlust, maybe able to chase effectively. Oh, Ogre Magi going for the stun. Not able to get it. Beastmaster's so tank. Has a haste rune bottle, but he's never going to be able to use it. The chain stun is out of this world. But the problem is that Broodmother's pushing bottom, Furion's pushing top, and 4 heroes are chasing Windrunner mid. Windrunner might be winning her team the game right now by dying here. Godlike, that's not going to do too much good if the base goes down. The TPs come back. I'm not sure if the glyph has been used yet, but I don't think it's going to matter. It looks like Dragonite might go down. Does he have buyback? He's really... I don't know why he's diving in here. He's just feeding at this point. Maybe lagging or something. Dragonite probably could have gotten away there, but opts to run in and die. Does he have buyback? He does have buyback. I'm not sure what he's waiting for. Okay, goes ahead and uses it. Broodmother is just... picks up the double kill. Going to continue the push. And I think Broodmother's going to get a set of racks here. Kunkka being completely occupied in the top lane. The glyph is popped. Tiny blinks in on the Broodmother. Broodmother's BKB should be down. With the chainstone, they might be able to kill her. Lion coming back the other way, doing a lot of damage. Broodmother's going to go down. Now you got to kill her again. There's a lot of stuns, but guess what Furion's doing? He's backdooring top. He's not really backdooring because they have creeps there, but he's just being a pain in the ass. That's pretty much what I was trying to say. I wish there was a verb for that. In any case, Furion doesn't take the racks down, but they're extremely low. And it looks like at this point, the Necronomicons, I mean, not only are they good at countering AoE, but they just give you even more push. I have to say a lot of credit to Mineski so far, because even though they're feeding, they're finding a way to take advantage of their lineup. And that's, better than having 5, super imba heroes who don't fit well together, is having 5 worse heroes, but having some synergy between them and really building them to maximize it. And Velocy, on the same, at the same side, they've been doing a decent job, but the goal is to, kill the enemy throne, kill their buildings, and right now, I just don't know how Velocy is going. I mean, they killed 3 heroes, or maybe it was 2. They killed 2 or 3 heroes, and then they still lost 2 outer towers and a melee racks here, as well as half health on both of the racks here. Roshan should be respawning fairly shortly, I believe. And it from an Mineski standpoint, you really don't have to force the issue now, even though the enemy team is, arguably as good, if not better, late game. Once you get that Aegis and the cheese, it's basically like having 7 heroes. The cheese will allow one hero to heal back to full when they're about to die, and the Aegis, of course, giving the hero 2 lives straight up. So between that, once you have the 7-on-5 advantage, especially if you have buyback on the Furion, or someone can buy back and sell their boots and get boots of travel, you can pretty much just win the game, even if a bunch of you die, just a suicide on the Rex. Smoke gank finally coming out, but they have to defend the base. They try to smoke gank, and then they realize the creeps are on their base. Like, well, guess we can't do that. Time to back up. Windrunner farming the enemy ancients. The other issue that often occurs when you're down, when you're constantly getting pushed, is that you really can't get wards up. I mean, in this case, we see... Where do we see wards? I think this is the only dire ward at the moment. We do see a ward on this hill, but that doesn't really see too much. I mean, they just can't leave their base, and if you can't leave your base, how are you going to ward? Unless you have a Furion or something like that who can TP to the warding location. Furion going to be killing this Rex. Desolator, a great pickup. I mean, not only is the minus armor good versus the DK, I don't think Velocy, I think they've sort of given up on winning this game, and they're just content to collect as many hero kills as possible. They didn't even bother to defend that top. Yeah, it was a ranged Rex, but still, you probably shouldn't be giving that up just for a chance to beast match. Meanwhile, Furion going to get another Rex. So Furion doing what he does best, which is winning games that his team really has no business winning, at least in terms of how the hero fighting is going. So that's 2 sets of Rex down. At this point, I want to say the game's almost over. Even though Veloci's played exceptionally well, Kunk actually went for a Battle Fury, which certainly one way to try and deal with the push. Doesn't matter. You can kill Furion. I'm sure he's buyback. No, he doesn't actually, but even without buyback, it should be okay. Pipe goes off on Kunkka, as he is known, and he will go down. So at this point, I mean, it's looking very bleak for Velocy. They have to kill everyone, and either those enemy heroes can't, like, and they all have to be not able to buy back. And maybe get the Roshan and just, you know, go all mid. You got to try something drastic. This war of attrition is not working in your team's favor. So, just sort of trying to catch a breath here, as I feel like I haven't had many opportunities to do so this game. Beastmaster Roar going out. Looks like Dragonite's going to drop. Dragonite for a Beastmaster, not a good trade at this point. Actually, Beastmaster going to live, which is really bad. This is looking quite bleak at the moment. Only 2 Scourge Heroes up. The possibly offensive GGs come out. I'm not sure. I think Velocy actually GG'd out, but I'm not sure if Mineski started it. Anyway, it looks like some pretty good nature and back and forth come out between the two teams. So, what a game. I mean, all in all, you know, just the 5 melee lineup was really exciting. I have to say, this game did not disappoint. But it just shows the power of heroes like Furion and Broodmother. You know, even though Mineski arguably played much worse in the mid game, they built correctly to counter the AoE as well as to just push really hard. And there was just no response from Velocy for the mobility of the enemy lineup. So, the mobility on the pushing power, I should say. So, you know, even as heroes are dying left and right for Mineski, or maybe not dying actually. Oh, buyback, it's like the woodwork. But it doesn't matter, because their base is dying, the throne is under siege, and they GG out, but they're going to fight to the bitter end. So, a very manly performance from this Indonesian squad. And I have to say, definitely impressed by their individual play, if not necessarily by the overall strategy. You know, hopefully we'll see some more good games up in the future. Look how tanky this Tiny is. So hard to kill because of that pipe and, you know, just generally being a boss with that 19 armor with the plate mail. So, pretty hard to take down. Looks like the game's about to end. Broodmother gonna drop. Probably won't matter. We expect to see her buyback momentarily. The throne is under siege. It's okay, guys. You can tap out now. You played well. But they're gonna fight to the bitter end. One tower goes down, another epicenter goes off. Or was that an epicenter? Maybe not. But either way, another throne tower is going to drop. The throne should die momentarily. BKB goes out. Got to get a couple more kills in the fountain to pad your stats. Very smart play coming out from Mineski, trying to disguise or otherwise mask their feed. The throne dies. The GGs come out. I'm going to pause the replay here. What a game, all in all, I have to say. And I was definitely exciting to cast. I've never seen a 5 melee lineup in a professional match, and this one did not disappoint. You know, all in all, I think Velocy could have played a little better. I'm not really sure how they could have built differently, though. I mean, maybe Kunkka should have gone for a little more damage or an early Battle Fury, and perhaps someone else should have gone for the pipe. Or, you know, maybe instead of building the Vanguard, you go straight into a pipe, something like that. Just to give you a little bit more pushability early on. To be honest, I'd be very interested to see the draft, because you know, it's pretty hard to beat a Broodmother Furion team unless you just have a dominant team fight lineup, or, you know, like an anti-mage and he gets really farmed just because of his mobility. He's very effective against pushing heroes, especially if he goes for Battle Fury. You know, aside from drafting differently, I don't really know how much better they could have played. So I want to say this was a case of being slightly outpicked, but you have to give a lot of credit to Mineski just for having such great decisions in terms of, you know, the item selection. I mean, I think the 3 Necronomicons, as well as eventually the Boots of Travel and the Broodmother, was really what won them the game. The Desolator, another great choice for the pushing as well. So, hope you guys enjoyed the commentary. I think that's about all I can really say about this game for now. If you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comments. If you hated it or you want to see something different, let me know that too. The only way I can make these commentaries better for you guys is with some feedback. If you enjoyed, please subscribe. And I'll be looking forward to hopefully bringing you guys some more commentaries in the future. Dota 2 if I can ever get into a game, but otherwise it'll be Dota 1 for the foreseeable future. And if you want me to cast Dota 2, go let Valve know about it, because right now I can't, even if I wanted to. So, thanks for watching, guys. Again, I was LD, and GG, guys. Have a good night.